This video is my review on Enlisted's closed beta test. Hope you guys enjoy this short intro. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at Enlisted's gameplay, and in this video I'm really going to give it some serious critique. Now, as a War Thunder player and content creator myself, I have been looking forward to this for a very long time, and I'd like to put it out there just straight away that I am very disappointed in Enlisted so far. Now, of course, there are numerous reasons for this, but the main one being is I think that the majority of War Thunder players really wanted just War Thunder with the inclusion of Infantry. Now, as you can see in the footage above, we are currently engaging with an enemy tank, and it's got very similar mechanics to Arcade. Now, Gaijin have obviously borrowed the X-ray camera, which is a very nice feature, but it's nowhere near as polished as War Thunder seems to be, and the kill feed is just a little bit messy. The UI overall is pretty diabolical, and I won't even get into the menu itself whenever you first put up the game. Trying to train your crews and putting different pieces of equipment on your soldiers, etc. It's just very convoluted. And this is something that War Thunder really suffers from as well. Newer players get into the game, they have really no idea what they're doing, their control setups are all wonky, their options overall are just very limited, and until you start learning these things yourself or look at online tutorials, it really removes an edge from your gameplay. Now, to talk more in depth with tank versus infantry combat, it goes completely as you expect it to go. Tanks are very powerful against squishy targets, and unless there's another tank on the battlefield or an aircraft up that can successfully drop a bomb on said tank, they're very difficult to deal with. And so they should be. They are tanks and they shouldn't be easy to take out, but at the same time, it's very difficult to get one of your explosive packs, attach it to said tank, and take it out. Now, there are an assortment of anti-tank weaponry, such as anti-tank rifles, Molotovs, and explosive packs like I've said before, but none of them really seem to do a decent job of it. For instance, Molotov cocktails will just impair the vision of the tank driver and the gunner themselves. With the anti-tank rifle, you will have to pick off the crew individually unless you get a lucky ammo rack shot. And by far the more frustrating experience, which you will see here later on in the video, the explosive packs have no way of attaching to the tank even if you jump on top of it. Your character just kind of limp-wristedly throws said explosive pack, and it can bounce off the tank and land maybe 10-20 feet away. Now, even if it does land very close proximity to the tank, even if it's underneath, there's no guarantee it will take out every single crew member in said tank, and you can be left kind of high and dry. But believe it or not, there's an even worse game mechanic. Some of the explosive packs are not available to every one of your crews, and there's some sort of loot box system whenever you level up that you'll just randomly get the chance to get an explosive pack to be able to equip it to your infantry. So it can maybe take you 10-20 hours of gameplay before you even unlock something that's capable of taking out an enemy tank. Unless, of course, in true Gaijin fashion, you buy one of the premium packs that includes a squad with submachine guns on every single one of them, a maxed out crew, and of course explosive packs, grenades, Molotovs, and 3 health packs each. So I suspect this is something newer players are going to catch on to very quickly and get very frustrated with, rightly so. And meanwhile, the players with the larger wallets and expendable income get to run around as lunatics with an SMG squad full of explosives and health packs and kind of dominate the battlefield. Which now brings us on to the gunplay. Yes, SMGs are incredibly powerful at the moment. Your stock crews generally get some sort of bolt action rifle, which is not a guaranteed one-hit kill. Even if you do down an enemy, if they are a premium user, they will have a med pack, which means that they can revive themselves unless you headshot them. So even if you down someone with one shot, you'll still have to shoot them again to take them out of the battle. Meaning that the 25 rounds your character has as a default character, you can see you maybe only get 12 or 13 kills. Now, yes, you can resupply or switch to one of the other characters in your squad, but those resupply things are also a random drop. The gunplay overall is pretty satisfying. It's very nice to be running around with an SMG gunning down masses of infantry. The bolt actions feel like bolt actions. However, when you ADS, there's quite some time before your gun becomes completely accurate. There is a little bit of aim bloom if you try and snapshot, so you have to be really careful with that as well. Just like in any first-person shooter, headshots are the way to go. You will instantly kill somebody and drop them out of the game. And quite often or not, if you've got an SMG and you come across the player of the squadron, his 3 AI will be trailing along behind him and you should be able to get masses of multi-kills. Which leads me to my main gripe of the game. It's actually not that satisfying or fun to play. There's quite often or not you'll just come across squads of bots that are kind of trailing far behind their player, and you'll gun them down with ease and then take out the guy who comes around to try and save his bots, and it doesn't really feel that good. Likewise, if you're in a tank, it just kind of feels like a tower defense shooter, and tank on tank gameplay right now just kind of feels like the luck of the draw. Whenever you kind of round a corner or your teammates mark a tank, you'll be able to flank them and take them out pretty easily. You don't really generally tend to bounce too many shots. Everything feels pretty hectic, there's lots of cover kind of clustered in one area, and when you're in these areas with these buildings, everyone else is just kind of cannon fodder until they manage to sneak one guy into a building before they can kind of return fire. Which brings me to one of the most frustrating gameplay loops in Enlisted. It's when you get killed, you can go straight to one of your bots and go and revenge kill the guy who just killed you. And this just seems to be one of these vicious cycles that just keeps going on and until one person wins the objective over. Your squadron's life feels kind of meaningless, and so do the enemies too. And once the maps stalemate, and they more than often than not they do, it just feels like you're playing some sort of whack-a-mole game where you're just killing droves of enemies until you run out of ammunition. Now, as me on the winning side, it's definitely not fun, and I can imagine that it's definitely not as fun for the people who are running around in droves, just getting murdered by people that they can't even see. And one of the things that kind of makes this worse, if you think War Thunder's map design is bad, wait until you play Enlisted. A lot of the times when the enemy's spawning and flowing towards you, you're in hard cover, they're completely in the open with trees that block their vision, and there's really nothing that they can do about it. Sure, they can spawn in tanks and try and break through that line, but you've got tanks too, and when they're dug in, they've got a serious advantage over the enemy that's trying to push in. Now, for me personally, the only reason I've really been playing this game is to grind the next level in the tech tree in order to get new tanks, aircraft, and all sorts of other things that look like they'll be fun to play. But each time I do this, I play around with that squad for maybe 15 minutes or half an hour or so, and then I'm back grinding for the next thing in the tech tree. Kinda sounds awfully like another game that I play. Now with the grind comes another issue. Veteran players who have a lot of time to invest into this game are going to absolutely annihilate players who just joined the game. As you play through, you will level up your squadrons, and that means you can add more bots, which means more spawns for you, more equipment, more perks, and therefore more likely to win games against players who only have 4 units, very limited ammo, and very limited equipment. Thus far, Gaijin haven't added some sort of thing to balance this, but I imagine it's going to become a huge problem as time draws on. Enlisted is obviously in beta, and hopefully videos like this and other players' feedback will help convince Gaijin otherwise, and hopefully put things in place to make sure this sort of imbalance doesn't happen in the final product. It's just unfortunate that it's human nature of people who want to have an edge over things. That's why we see hackers and people like that in video games. But when things like pay to win and progression overcome people who just joined the game new, it's really going to put off a lot of new players joining the game and sticking to it. To give you my case in point, I came across a squadron that had 6 units in it, and my bolt action rifle only had 5 shots, and although I had downed 5 of said unit, I still had to deal with the last guy and I had no ammo left in my gun. Now sure, I had bots in my squad too that I could switch to, but they were so far behind getting stuck on things that I couldn't successfully switch to it to save my character that I had just killed the 5 guys with. Which, by the way, brings me to another point. The AI on the bots is absolutely horrendous. Now, since alpha, when I first played this game, there has been a vast improvement on them, but they do shove you around buildings, push you out windows, chuck you off rooftops, and also they throw off your aim a lot of the time. My recommendation for the bots is to throw them inside a barn somewhere, forget about them, and whenever you die with your main character, just hit your Y button and then switch to them, and then you can start all over again as a solo. Essentially, keep them there as mobile respawn points, as when your entire squad dies, you'll be forced to take another squad that doesn't have a cooldown on it. Now let's talk about one of the things that I actually think Enlisted does really well, and that's the gunplay. The guns feel solid, it really feels like you're firing an SMG from the hip, and whenever you're impacting enemies, you get some nice feedback there too. The mouse controls and inputs are overall pretty responsive, but the movement is still very janky. You'll see here a lot of the bots, and myself included, get stuck on a lot of objects, especially around windows and doors. Your character just kind of gets shoved around. Whenever you try and look over said object or through a window itself, you kind of get shifted about. It's really difficult to aim, and sometimes you can't get your gun where you want it to be in order to kill an enemy. Of course, collisions with other players and bots are equally as frustrating, but it's really a product of the environment. The buildings, etc. are all very cramped, as they will be IRL, but you don't have the luxury of being able to flex your entire body to get two people through a doorway. Now, as a QA tester for various multiplayer online games, my suggestion to Gaijin would be what Battlefield does, is basically destroy part of the building so you've got nice wide openings for people to ingress and egress out of. Now, to Gaijin's credit, it's actually very difficult to get shooting mechanics down. If you've ever played games like Postscriptum or Hell Let Loose, they feel very janky whenever you're firing at enemies, and it's something that Enlisted does really well, and I hope that they don't change it. My problems with the game are just the gameplay loop itself, the objectives, and how your life feels and it affects the battlefield. Just doesn't really feel satisfying to play at all. I think a lot of people are going to get caught up in the grind, trying to get better squadrons and better equipment, thinking that the overall gameplay experience will improve, but at the same time, everyone is going to be doing the exact same thing, so they're going to be evolving along with each other. This is just going to cause a massive power struggle, and then other players who become new to the game are really going to struggle dealing with the players who have a lot of hours. Now, I understand this video comes across as a massive middle finger to Gaijin, but hopefully Gaijin will understand that that's not the case. I do believe that they have the potential to make this better, and I really hope that they do. One thing that I would hate to see happen is that this game falls flat on its face, and then no one ever plays it. Now, I'm going to let this footage play out. This was definitely a very crazy game. I think I got more than 90 kills in this particular instance, and it more than showcases what this game has to offer currently in the closed beta test. I hope that this video was educational for you. Please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys next time.